again, welcome. Thanks for being here. Drop your name and organization in the chat. Let us know what you're interested in learning about, and I'm going to jump right in. And my name is Rebecca Kusner. I'm Director of the Ohio Workforce Coalition and colleague to many of you, probably all of you who are on the call in some way, shape, or form. And I have been somehow connected to the Ohio Workforce Coalition since 2008, when I worked for a small nonprofit in Columbus, Ohio, and started really thinking about what does it mean to organize workforce stakeholders to work on our shared concerns, issues, possible changes, and so on. So the coalition has grown and evolved over time, and I'll tell you a little bit about that, but I'm going to spend most of the time talking today about our membership benefits, our new structure, and giving you an opportunity to hear just one example of what we're really proud to be able to bring to the field. So Carter, you can go ahead and kick us off. We just did a welcome. And I already told you the agenda, so it's fine. We just skipped right over that. But wanted to just make sure everyone's on the same page about what the coalition's vision and mission really is. So we have a vision as a coalition of stakeholders from across Ohio of a future when all Ohioans have equitable access to opportunity and the supports they need to really take advantage of it. When Ohio businesses have a skilled workforce that is advancing in quality jobs, and when Ohio workforce systems are aligned, transparent, inclusive, and accountable. And that would be an amazing time, right? We would probably, many of us would probably be out of a job if we got to that point in Ohio's future, but that's really what we're working towards. And our mission in doing so is to bring together, well, to organize, the next slide, Carter, if you haven't advanced it already, it might just be not advancing on my side, is to build and engage a multi-system network of workforce stakeholders to develop policy priorities and then to advocate them with local, state, and federal officials. And what we mean when we say a multi-system network of stakeholders is that this isn't just about the public workforce system. This isn't just about post-secondary education and Pell Grants and that funding. It's not about just human services and resume writing workshops or whatnot. This is really sort of a comprehensive approach to how we think about work and talent and the intersection between workers and where they work. And so it's a very broad definition of workforce when we talk about who our stakeholders are, what we want to impact. And then from the notion of developing, there's a strong element of helping to identify policy priorities and then to develop what needs to be changed, to develop paths forward and advocate for those with local, state, and federal officials. And advocacy even. Advocacy can look like a lot of different things, and some people shy away from advocacy in a nonprofit sense because there's concerns about lobbying and whatnot, but it's going to take all of us to educate our public officials about what workforce is, to educate them and make them aware of what's happening in workforce ecosystems and what's happening in the field, and then to really help promote a new path forward or enhanced, evolved path forward for workforce in Ohio, which doesn't always mean advocating around a specific piece of legislation or a specific budget item, but really is about advocating for our field as a whole. And so we really see our work in these four buckets, these four strategies, and the benefits of membership that we're going to talk about are organized to have an impact in each of those spaces. We are, next slide, led by, guided by a leadership committee that really comes from a range of organizations, a range of geographies, and we've really looked at a range of experience levels in the workforce field and in various coalition building and system building capacities. So these are the individuals who are currently represented on our leadership committee. I want to give a special shout out to Lori Atkins and Jason Kluth-Barani, who are with the Literacy Cooperative of Greater Cleveland. The Literacy Cooperative stepped in and has been the fiscal agent for the coalition for the last several years, and both of them have really helped make sure that we can keep going and that we are keeping track of everything that we're doing, helping to manage these webinars. Jason helps out with the newsletter, so really appreciate their willingness to step up, and also appreciate all of our other leaders who have been involved, some of them involved in helping to frame this membership structure, as well as helping to identify how we move forward on policy priorities. Next slide, please. So our membership structure has been organized into 5 different levels. You can call them tiers, really intended to make sure that there's room. Well, let me pause for a minute. I see, Judith, you have a hand raised. Do you have a question?
I did. On the previous slide, Rebecca, you indicated the leadership team. It would be helpful, at least for me, to understand either where they're from. I mean, obviously, I know where Kyle works and where he's posted, so to speak, but for the participants to know, you know, they're Cincinnati, they're Franklin, statewide organization, or something to better understand not only the organization they're representing, but is there a geography in the state or is it statewide? So just a thought on that.
Yeah, that's a great point. And we've actually really tried to do a mix. There are a couple organizations, so I can just call it out, that represent all of the state of Ohio. Like you see Policy Matters Ohio, they have a statewide footprint. There are organizations that have more of a regional footprint. So if you look at Carrie Cart from Great Lakes Community Action Partnership, they are, they have a wider footprint covering parts of Northwest Ohio. And then there are more kind of hyper-local where I think Tony right up at the top there, Tony Cunningham with the Godman Guild in Columbus is a community-based organization that's very locally driven. So we have tried to hit geographic diversity. We did up our representation with the rural areas of Ohio with the addition of Lori Gribble McKnight from Area 14 Workforce Board. That's the southeast part of the state. And have also diversified representation from different groups. And an example of that would be Brian Wright, who's very local with Cincinnati Compass and working with immigrants and refugees in the Cincinnati area, but is connected to both welcoming cities and immigrant and refugee programming across the state. And so I think each of the individuals that's represented is both local, but looking at it has their local focus in many cases, but also a much broader view. Does that help?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, and that's a good thing to keep in mind as we're describing things on various materials. So we will keep that in mind. So as I mentioned, there are 5 membership levels, and you know, this was tough. It's tough to decide what's the right cutoff and how do we fit, you know, each thing we want to fit into each category. And really, this was born out of a desire to be as inclusive as possible. And so we started at an organizational level that is representative of the larger organizations, maybe more specifically whole organizations focused on workforce. We then went to more of a regular, I would say this is our regular organizational membership. We see a lot of representation here in our current membership composition, where it's looking at really the core of benefits, but maybe not some of those extra special plus memberships. The small organization is also intended to be sort of a partner organization membership, where we have associations from across the state and allow them to join as at an organizational level to be able to encourage also their members to join. So workforce is one of those interesting fields where everyone who is a part of us is also probably part of another association. and probably engages in all sorts of other work, whether it's because of the sector you work in or the type of organization you're in or whatnot. So that partner associations is really geared towards smaller organizations and associations from across the state. And then individual plus, recognizing that not everyone's going to want to join at the organizational level. We want to still have opportunities for individuals to connect. One important point is that while we did want to move to a membership structure, we feel it's super important for us to be as inclusive as possible when it comes to transitioning, and recognizing that if there's cost prohibitations or membership prohibitations for any reason, that we want to work that through. And so if you're thinking about it and just don't know where you fit, or you're thinking that you're interested but your organization might not, what could that look like, please just reach out and talk to us about where there might be an opportunity for you to fill in. And I think that's a little bit of why Carter and Carissa are on board to help us think through a lot of those questions. And so we're definitely open to making sure that we've got room for everyone and want to keep that top of mind as we move forward. We've also organized the membership benefits into several different categories, and this was not something where we identified the categories and then came up with benefits underneath them. It really was looking at everything that we're already doing, figuring out where we might be able to add a bit more, where we think there's particular interest. And we sort of logically had clusters of work and organized the benefits in that way. And so these are the categories. And I think what you'll see is that as we reflect on the places, the strategies that the coalition's deploying to accomplish our work, these benefits really fall in each of those categories. So from network building and mobilization to the policy identification and advocacy work, the benefits really align well with the strategies that we're deploying to move forward as a coalition. And so that's encouraging. It's always nice when the work that you're doing aligns with where you're strategically headed. And we are proud to be able to say, yes, we're doing a lot of this work, and that our next step is really driving it to a place where we're more formal, we're more structured, and we're able to fund some of the work that we want to do. And with that, I want to jump a bit into what are those actual benefits? What does that look like? And so I gave you 2 links here that you'll have available when the deck is sent to you. The first is the overall membership slide on the coalition's website. The second is an overview of the membership benefits and the membership tiers. And I think, Merle, this gets to your point about kind of an inventory of what we have. It doesn't go specific to what we've done in healthcare, but certainly on a look back perspective, we can talk about how each of these might be relevant by field. So you can, Carter, put the leadership link in the chat. Carter, why don't you also drop, if it's okay, if you can, drop this in the chat so that if you want to look at it a little bit more largely on your individual screen, you can do that. But this PDF sums up the benefits that we're offering at each of the levels and offers the price points for membership at those levels. And we did include what non-members would be eligible still to receive. There will be some fees attached, but we still want to welcome individuals and engage with individuals who are not, or organizations who are not able to join. But I want to give you can scroll up a bit, Carter. I want to give you an opportunity, and I want to have an opportunity to go through some of the highlights of what I think are the highlights of the member benefits in each of these categories. So from an information, resources, and data perspective, many of you are familiar with our monthly newsletters, these monthly webinars. We are going to be kicking those up a notch, and the newsletters will be going to members only and will be highlighting some of the legislative activity and really a curated list of work that the coalition's doing, work we think you should be aware of, and opportunities for you to plug in. And so if you get our newsletter, you will continue to get it If you don't get our newsletter and want to stay as a member, you'll get, as a non-member, you'll get sort of a news alert. This is a heads up. These are some key things you should be thinking about, but not the deeper, more curated content. Going into the, as I mentioned, the legislative summary, but going into some of what we can offer by way of tools and resources for data, we will be offering a more formal structure to our trainings, and you'll hear more about that. But more importantly, on the information and resources side, you'll be able to post jobs and events. If you're at the individual plus and up level, this could be anything from, hey, we're launching a new program. I just got a call from someone who's partnering with the Ohio Department of Medicaid and wants to figure out how they can communicate their program through the coalition. And so if they're a member, they are going to be able to continue to, or begin to post things. I'm getting a notification that I'm being asked to unmute. Can you all hear me? Okay, let me just say how I am and move this.
You're fine.
Okay, thank you. And so another thing is other associations. So other associations that host workforce-related events and want to share those events will be able to post. But more importantly, you'll be able to post workforce jobs, and we will share that with our network, push it out via social media, share it on LinkedIn. And I expect that that might be one of the most valuable ways that this network can be used to promote employment opportunities through membership. We do currently have a workforce leadership or workforce resource library that we will continue to make available to members, and we will be adding to that and connecting to other resources. And then we're going to kind of ramp up some of the budget work that we're doing, which includes tracking the state budget and engaging more closely with the National Skills Coalition on what's happening with the federal budget. So that's all around data. On the policy advocacy and educating public officials perspective, we have officially done our first Workforce 101 for public officials. We did that at the State House this month, actually. Wasn't as well attended as we would have liked. Part of that was because we tried out a new strategy of doing it during recess so that we could attract a lot of staff. I think they recessed as well, and so we'll continue to tweak and refine what that looks like, but we are getting more active down in Columbus and really being specific about what we can do at the State House, not just from a coalition day or a lobby day, but also from those in-between meetings that you have, or you catch someone when you're outside of a committee and you get a chance to chat with them there. And again, the idea is that we're able to bring those back to our coalition members, and that we are also going into those meetings informed by the members. We are pulling, or will be continuing to pull, from coalition membership for opportunities to help frame and inform the Ohio delegation to the National Skills Coalition Skills Summit. So there's a group, I think we're at least 10 people now heading to DC the beginning of next week to talk to federal officials about workforce in Ohio and what they should be thinking about. And then we're going to be more explicit with issues briefings, and a couple of examples of this might be the intersection of workforce and human services. There's a lot of conversations happening right now in the human service space about what it means, for example, to make sure that individuals receiving education and training are able to maintain food support, and what are we thinking when it comes to distribution of ARPA funds across the state, and so on. So this notion of what are the pressing issues, and we will be curating issue briefings based on feedback we get from members. The membership itself, I think one of the things I've learned over the years in workforce is that while I talk to a lot of people, not everyone has the opportunity to, pick their head up and connect with folks from across Ohio doing similar work. And so we are very interested in making sure that there is a formal opportunity for practitioners in the field at multiple levels to be able to hear about best practices, hear what's working in other parts of the state, and also really lean into what they have to share, because there are some exciting things happening that, again, I hear about because I talk to many different people, but that I think needs to be spread to a wider audience. There's been some interesting learning around how WIOA dollars are spent or not spent across areas, and what can be done to make sure that we're spending down the whole I'm forgetting the word I want to use, obligation, all of the dollars that we have. But then also looking at, making sure that members have an opportunity to come to an annual conference, have some face time with our state officials, state leadership, agency, and elected, and get access to, again, that curated content, national speakers, and so on. And so really continuing to build that network. And then within that, if you want to scroll down a little bit more, building the capacity in the field. So recognizing that there are a lot of opportunities for professional development. Very frequently in workforce, you get professional development about a very specific funding stream or a very specific targeted audience and whatnot. And we think that while that's really important, that there is a need to have broader conversations about capacity building around innovation in the field, conversations about how are we collectively tackling equity, racial, gender, age, equity in the workforce, how are we talking about job quality. And so we want to bring tools to bear, but then also make sure that there's opportunities to talk about and debrief the use of those tools, and not have it just be, okay, you show up for a training, you get a new tool, everyone goes back to their office, goes back to their desk, and you never get to really understand what happens from using the tool going to the training. So it's really, how do we take workforce training and put it in action and do it, again, as a collaborative, as a group, as a network, rather than just on our own. And then there's a few benefits that I think kind of cross-cut, that the new website, updated opportunities for sponsorships and whatnot. I expect that we will have some member pricing on assessments, whether it's a job quality assessment that'll help you benchmark companies in your field, or a talent assessment that could help those companies assess their own workers. We've got some of those in the works. And then kind of grayed out at the bottom are some of those, yes, we'd love to be able to offer this, it's coming, but it's just going to take a little bit longer to get those into place. So they will be rolling out as the coalition continues to grow, and as as we're able to line things up. As you might imagine, it takes a lot to pull this much together, and we had to sort of say, okay, we're ready to go on this, let's launch here, and then dig in deeper. So that's an overview of just the benefits that exist today. And what I want to do is just give you a couple examples of how we've seen those play out, and then turn to a guest that we've brought in today to talk a bit about their work and how they, what tool they offer and how they'll show up for the coalition. So by way of examples, I mentioned the webinar briefing. So we will be featuring the National Skills Coalition and Advocates for Ohio's Future, talking budget details, the nitty gritty, what's showing up in the relative to workforce in the state budget, and then what are the workforce related issues we need to be paying attention to in the federal budget. And so you'll have an opportunity to hear more about that. I expect that as membership continues to grow, we will get more detailed with our work that we're doing specifically around budget advocacy. An example of the peer networks and the learning is the Aspen Workforce Leadership Academy that the coalition worked to bring to Ohio. We brought that to Ohio in partnership with the Northeast Ohio Workforce Coalition, and really looking forward to that academy. We had our opening retreat last week and want to be able to bring that academy to other parts of Ohio and look to the membership to help identify where that should go, help do some fundraising for it, and then also be part of the overall framing of it. And then the last example is a very specific tool that Allie and I, it feels like we've been working on this for the last 5 years, but have really been trying to bring to Ohio because of the vast range of staff who are interested in the coalition, who are interested in workforce in general. What is a credential? What is a training that we could bring to the table that could help us get to where we need to be? And so Allie is here. I can't tell if she's on screen or not, to talk a bit more about Skilling America so that you're really clear about what it offers. Again, as an example of a membership benefit, because Skilling America seat licenses are available to members based on membership level. So I'm going to let Allie share a little bit more about her work, and then we'll come back and answer questions, talk more about any specific benefit you'd like to talk about. And with that, Allie, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Rebecca, and thank you, the rest of the team. It's been a pleasure to work with you all to bring Skilling America to the Ohio Workforce Coalition. And like Rebecca said, we are really excited to be here today and share with you, what the benefits are of Skilling America, how you'll be using it, and we want your feedback too. So, Skilling America was developed because, kind of like you all, we have the goal to standardize training for talent professionals across the nation, so they're equipped to help job seekers find meaningful work. And I'm really excited to walk you through some screenshots of the platform and tell you more about how Skilling America was developed. So Skilling America was developed by Hope Street Group, which is a nonprofit organization focused on providing access to economic opportunity for all individuals. Based on work building networks of employers, educators, and workforce development agencies, we discovered that frontline talent professionals, who you'll hear me refer to as navigators, face significant barriers when it comes to standardized training for their profession. By working with experts like all of you in this field, we were able to build the Skilling America Professional Development and Certification Program. Here on your screen, you'll see what is offered through Skilling America. We currently offer 4 online self-paced training courses in competency-based career navigation. These courses are focused on career coaching, partnership development, job analysis, and leadership, and are a part of a wider certification that skills up navigators so they can deliver the best support to whichever person they're helping. Our user feedback indicates that each course may take up to 3 to 4 hours to complete. And we also offer a community forum and resource library as ways to connect with your peers to share tools and resources. And I'll walk into that a little bit more later on. Next slide, please. Okay, so as I mentioned, Skilling America was developed by experts like all of you in this field. Building on learnings from implementing this program with Goodwill, as well as similar results with our manufacturing and healthcare networks, Hope Street Group created Skilling America. Here you'll see the competencies that have been identified as necessary for navigators to possess in order to engage in competency-based career navigation with job seekers. We believe and have evidence through our work leading networks and our community of Skilling America members that a core of well-trained navigators armed with the specific competencies in career coaching, partnership development, job analysis, and leadership can and do make a real and significant impact on the lives of the individuals that they're working with. Each Skilling America course is broken down into self-paced training modules that focus on a specific competency, such as establishing and sustaining a productive career coaching relationship, which is covered in our career coaching course, or identifying the assets needed to begin a regional analysis, which is found in the analysis course. Next slide, please. And as I mentioned, Skilling America has been in the field. We actually developed it in partnership with Goodwill, and it was pilot tested there as well. And then we have a couple of other coalitions similar to the Ohio Workforce Coalitions that have used Skilling America for a few years now and are seeing great results with it. So one of our other partners is NIATEP, which some of you may be familiar with, but it's the New York Association of Talent Employment Professionals. And they're seeing great results in New York. We're also working with some organizations in the Houston area. So it's kind of all over the country right now, but we're really excited for you all in Ohio to start working with Skilling America. We'd love to hear your feedback. We think the training will be really beneficial for you all. Next slide, please. Our other impact today includes reduced navigator turnover at our pilot sites, which resulted in an agency savings of up to $4,000 per navigator. And our professionals trained on Skilling America also yielded improved results with their clients, which included increased job placement, promotions, pay raises, and overall job satisfaction. And then here on your screen, you'll see a quote, but I love to read this quote, so I'll read it out for you as well, from one of our sites that uses Skilling America. It says, providing our staff with the tools, skills, and competencies needed to offer exceptional services will not only move them towards self-sufficiency, but enables us to serve more job seekers. And this is really just the heart of Skilling America and why we created it. We want to help all of you be the best at what you do because your work really does make a difference, and we want to support you all in what you do. And then I love to share this quote from one of our certified Skilling America navigators. I had the pleasure of speaking with a couple of our navigators, and that's somebody who has completed all 4 courses and earned our certification. And she told me that in 8 years of being a career coach, she had never received any type of formal training until Skilling America was offered to her. And after she took Skilling America, she just felt like she gained so much from the courses, and it really changed her whole workflow. And I'm not saying that that'll happen for everybody, but I'd love to hear that story and share that with everyone. Next slide, please. Okay, so now I'm going to walk you through just a couple of screenshots of what you'll see on the Skilling America platform. And I want to get you familiar with the components. So here you'll see a short summary of the courses and the competencies that are covered. You'll also be able to see the number of modules listed. And as I mentioned, the courses are all self-paced. So, you can, I kind of recommend taking it a module at a time. So finishing a module in its entirety. And then if you need to stop and it'll remember where you're at so you can pick up later. And again, the courses take between 3 to 4 hours to complete. Next slide, please. Okay, now jumping into a course. This is a career coaching course, and you can see that we use avatars with practical examples for users to apply what they've learned. You'll also be able to participate in many short form quizzes, questions, and gamified learnings. This gives you an example of the type of content and learnings you would find throughout the Skilling America courses. And while you go throughout the courses, you'll be presented with different resource documents as well. And you can download the documents and save them to your computer, or you can always access them on our resource library, which I'll share about in a few minutes. And we also have portfolio building exercises with the goal that after you completed all 4 courses, you've built a series of documents that make up your Skilling America Navigator portfolio. And this is just another way that we wanted to include our learnings and some resources for you to take from the courses. Just a couple technical things as well. In the navigation bar on the left side of your screen, you'll be able to track your progress of the course and view the course outline. So you can kind of, manage your time and figure out, how long you have to complete the course. Next slide, please. Okay, so once you complete a course, you'll receive an email with your course certificate, which is issued through Accredible. You'll receive 4 Skilling America course certificates and then digital badges that are accompanied with those. And then you'll be eligible to complete the Skilling America certification. And we've heard from many Skilling America members that they really appreciated this part of the platform because it's helped them show how they're continuing to educate themselves as experts in the field. And they've also been able to post these new credentials on social media sites like LinkedIn and have added the digital badges to their email signatures. So I really hope to see all of you doing that as well. Next slide, please. Okay, and then the certification. So after you complete all 4 courses, you'll be able to apply for the Skilling America Navigator certification. By doing this, you'll have to submit an application, which consists of multiple choice questions about yourself to verify your eligibility for the certification. And then you'll be asked to submit one of the portfolio samples that I mentioned using the portfolio documents found in the Skilling America courses. You just need to submit one. You don't have to submit all of them. Or you'll be able to write a short response explaining how Skilling America has impacted your work or could impact your work. Once you submit your application, it'll be sent to our team, and then you'll receive your Skilling America Navigator certification from Accredible and join other professionals just like you, dedicated to ensuring that individuals have access to economic opportunity. Next slide, please. Okay, and then this is jumping out of the courses, but other resources that we provide. As I mentioned, we provide resource documents in the courses, but they're not only stored in the courses, so you have to like go back and dig through the modules. We also have a resource library where we encourage navigators to share resources that they found helpful for their peers to use. We also include all of the resources found in the modules, so you can easily like filter and search in case you remember something but you don't know where it's located in a course. Go to the resource library and it'll be there. Next slide, please. And another feature we've created for our community is a community forum where navigators engage to share best practices, seek peer input, and generate new ideas for resources in career navigation and creating more efficient workforce systems. So we have our forum. We would love to see you all using it. And we also have opportunities for you to engage in the forum throughout all of our courses as well. This just gives you a brief overview of what Skilling America provides, and I hope it gets you excited about this professional development opportunity. I'm really excited for you all to start using it, and I'm here if you have any questions. I don't know if right now is a question portion or later, but also if you have any questions after this, feel free to send me a note. Thank you.
Thanks, Allie. Appreciate it. And I'm happy Allie's email's in the chat now. And I'm happy to have people ask you questions if they have them, or we can go to overall questions. Excuse me, I want to let folks know that we did pilot Skilling America in Northeast Ohio in the Youngstown area and got positive feedback. And one of the things that we added on in addition to that, or that we're looking to add on, is something that's modeled after what NIATEP has done. And that is really looking at, okay, again, you did the training, you got through your module, let's talk about it. How do you apply it? What does this mean? And again, this is the goal with that being to apply the learning, foster peer learning, but also have some consistency across the state that's broader than any one particular funding stream or targeted audience. So we'll see how it goes. I'm excited and have heard great things from Goodwill, so that's encouraging as well. But yes, any questions for Allie specifically on Skilling America?
Allie, so I'm curious. Hi, I'm Meryl. I'm in Cleveland. So is it preferable that people who do this are already in this occupation, or and what's sort of an ideal background for somebody who's going through this work?
Yeah, great question. So Skilling America was originally created for workforce professionals. So I mean, that could be any title. I know those titles really vary. One of the titles we use most, because I think Goodwill is, one of our larger partners, is like career coach. It's one of the titles. Talent employment professional is another title that we use. But we also created Skilling America in partnership with HR managers and also educators. So we have a teacher network at Hope Street Group, and they helped us create some of the courses as well. So kind of a wide range, but it's really anybody who could help somebody find a job. But great question. Happy to, provide more resources if needed.
Well, then perhaps as a follow-up, our area is healthcare, and many of the hospital systems are looking to hire or have coaches or some term thereof within their systems that are helping with onboarding and possibly with retention strategies. And I'm just wondering if this extends to them as well.
Yes, it does. Actually, the courses were created in partnership with Metrics Reporting. I don't know if anyone's familiar with their work in Michigan, but they do a lot of work with hospitals and a lot of work implementing apprenticeship programs in hospitals. So they helped us create most of the courses, which is great, but also, yes, totally meant for anybody in the healthcare field. Also, I don't think I answered part of your other question. Is it for people who are just starting out in a career or people who are have been in this career for a while. It's both. We've heard from people who have taken the course who are just starting out, like, this is great because I, have a starting place. We've also heard from people who have been in this field for like 20 years. They're like, this is a great refresher. It just kind of, helps me, with my professional development.
Wonderful. And I just have one final question. I apologize for dominating here. Is so with Goodwill, I'm imagining some of this is with individuals in the DD space. And so are any modules around working with individuals with perhaps limited learning challenges or reading challenges or comprehend, et cetera?
Yeah, I'm trying to recall, I believe in one of our pilot sites, they were the ones who helped us create some of these modules, especially in the career coaching section, but they had a program that was specifically used for outreach for people with disabilities. So yes, definitely. I think we even may cover some of that in the course content. I make myself go through every year and look at the courses, and I'm at that timeline again, so I need to go back through. But yeah, the answer is yes.
Great, thank you so much.
And Merle, just to add to that, I'm familiar with the work that's happened that metrics reporting has been doing, and I actually put it in the chat to you with Mercy Hospitals in Grand Rapids, and UH has actually, I think, looked at some of that work, and it was several years ago, but one of the things that Hope Street and metrics reporting were also really looking at and have done a lot of work in is the skills-based hiring space. And what does it mean to really profile a job, look at what it takes, and then map the competencies needed to whatever expectations there are from a hiring perspective. And I think I have been connected to Hope Street for some time, given the work that they've been doing in that space, particularly in the manufacturing sector, and was then, went out to Grand Rapids to see metrics and the work that they're doing with Mercy Hospital Systems. And it's really this notion of why don't we apply that to the workforce field? Why don't we say, hey, if you're going to be doing this sort of work, you ought to have these foundational competencies and be able to deploy those competencies effectively, whether you work at a CBO or at an employer or at a funder or whoever. And so I think it's really it's a nice level setting and foundational credentials so that we're all speaking the same language and agreeing upon what's important. And then where you go with it could be any number of different pathways. And from the coalition's perspective, we wanted to make it available. And so we've incorporated it into membership. And I think it's one at the organizational level, up to 5 at the organizational plus level, but organizations who are members can also purchase extra spots, because we know we can't fund through membership every seat. But say he's not on this call, but say there was a workforce area, with 300 staff, they could come and purchase Skilling America at a discounted rate by virtue of being a member of the coalition. So you get some with your membership, but then you also can purchase more. And it's much more cost effective to do this at in a foundational way than it is to, put together cohorts or to do some of the more intense locally driven training that needs to happen, but maybe isn't a starting point. So I know there's a question about cost. So Ellie, you want to speak to that? Do you want me to speak to that?
I'll let you speak to that if you want. I know it's structured with your membership, so I just don't want to give any incorrect information.
So I will give you an unsatisfying answer, Alicia, and say that there are memberships that come with a certain number of Skilling America licenses. And then there are the discounts that are available that would be based on whether you want to buy 2 more or 300 more. And so the cost would be driven by that sort of volume, and it would be probably irresponsible of me at this point to give any specific these are the membership levels, and what Carter just put in the chat are the membership levels and the seats you get with that. And then anything over and above, we would talk about one-off. Again, that's what makes it satisfying. I can say there is a discount, but it depends on the numbers. Other questions? What about questions for me more generally, thoughts on membership overall? Something that's missing that you really were hoping we were going to reveal, or something that you're particularly excited about?
Hey,
I'm going to
Rebecca,
scroll while you're thinking. Yep, go ahead, Lori.
Lori, one of the things that I don't know if anyone would be interested in knowing is, like, how does somebody get to be on the leadership committee?
Are you going to answer that question, or would you like me to?
I'd like you to, because I'm still trying to figure out why I'm on it. No, I'm just kidding.
No. Thank you. And actually, you might have noticed in our overview slide that we do have a couple of vacancies. So we are always looking for new energy on the leadership committee. So the leadership committee really is pulled from the members, and we look at members that have energy in a certain space, certain expertise. They're nominated by a current member of the leadership committee. So once you're involved and engaged in participating, folks get to know you. There's a nominations. We do have 2-year terms. We're probably going to extend the current term because of just the volume of things we've been working on over the last year. But they're 2-year terms. You get nominated, and then you sit on either well, it's approved by a vote of the committee, and you sit on either a membership committee, which really focuses on the network and growing and engaging the network, or it's a policy committee, which focuses on identifying our policy areas and helping to advocate in those policy areas. So the best way to look at getting involved in the leadership committee is to become a member and start engaging that way. And there will be more structured ways to have members engage, of course, as the more formal membership rolls out. Does that help, Lori? Is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, I would just like to add that, it's one of the things that if you get involved in the Ohio Workforce Coalition, you really do get to intersect with a lot of great talent throughout the state of Ohio. I'm always impressed by what I learn every single time I'm either on one of these webinars or just talking with other members throughout the state. And, especially with the leadership committee that we have currently, it is just really great to learn about the issues that, there's so many things that come out with the budget, with policy, with all of that, and you can't keep track of everything. And it's very nice to know that we have such a diverse group on the leadership committee that usually everything that is something that we need to understand and know about, somebody is on it, and so I really encourage you to be as involved as you can with the Ohio Workforce Coalition, and as well as let us know what you're working on, because there's some that we don't know everything, and so it's really great to have this group together. So I couldn't say more great things about it than that, but I really encourage everyone, if you're not a member, to really think about it. And Allie, that was really great. I didn't know much about Skilling America, even though I was supposed to review it and do all of this before that, but I've really learned a lot, and I think it's a great product.
Thank you.
Lori has COVID this week, so she's not 100%. But yes, it's a good example of how everyone chips in where they've got the expertise and the capacity. And one of the cool things about the leadership committee and about the membership as a whole is that we don't all know everything. It really is about the collective and being responsive, taking advantage of opportunities, but also making it easier for folks who are doing the work to really lean into this bigger group. Because I don't know about you, but I frequently find that I'm either doing the work or thinking about it, but there's a big gap in between those two. And so we really want to make better connections, build this network so that we can collectively have greater impact. Other questions? Judith, anything that comes up for you? I think you've been connected. Is it Olu from CEO? Do you have questions? Thank you for your membership. They have recently joined.
I'm going to show my face. No, I do not have any questions. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep,
okay.
yep.
All right. No questions. Thank you. Thanks, Rebecca.
Uh-huh. Okay. We could wrap early then. There's some more quotes about what the value of being engaged with the coalition actually on the coalition's membership page. We would love to invite you all as members. Please do consider it. If you've got questions, reach out to me individually. And please share it with your networks. Again, we launched official membership April 1st. And so this is a really important time for the coalition as a whole. And we're really excited about the work that's happening and hope that you are too. And even if membership isn't just right for you right now, or if you've got questions, we should talk more. But would really appreciate you sharing the information and encouraging others to check us out and engage with us. Okay, I think it's a wrap. Thank you very much,
Thank
everyone.
you.
So
We will see you next month, May, learning about workforce in the state budget and the federal budget. So join us for that. And in the meantime, keep doing the good work. Appreciate it.
great week.